So, today we are starting something new. See, I thought when you look back at Pokemon, specifically Gold and Silver and many other games, there is something that each of us would define as different in our playthroughs, and that has to be our individual teams used. And as such, it means we all have different definitions of what we would consider the perfect Pokemon team and what that is. So I thought, why not take a look at what your perfect team for Pokemon Gold and Silver according to what you guys submitted on the Discord of mine, and then after that, I will show you what I think is the perfect team according to me. And yeah, that is basically it, guys. If you enjoyed the video, then let's get to 1,000 likes. And if we do hit 1,000 likes, then we'll do a second part about Pokemon Red and Blue. So in the comment section right now, you can submit 6 Pokemon for a team for Pokemon Red and Blue in the comments for the next video and have a chance to get featured. Either way, let's jump right into the first of these perfect teams you guys suggested, and then we'll look at the definition of the perfect team according to what I think. First up is a submitted team by Subarashi, who basically wrote down these Pokemon. Typhlosion, which he says is an awesome fire-type starter, which is true. Then he says 2, Heracross, good typing and cool design. It's good to have that, bug typing plus the extra fighting typing, I guess, on it. Really useful. Number 3, Furret, because it's a meme. That's fair enough. I mean, hey, people love Furret, so it's logical. And then 4 is Togetic, a majestic Pokemon that can learn a useful move, Metronome, which, hey, interesting that he would add specifically for that reason. That's fair enough. I do think a few other people also have this on their lists, but that's fair enough. Number 5, Farfetch'd, my favorite Gen 1 Pokemon, which is, well, that's interesting. And then we have Sudowoodo. He's just there, but a good trick Pokemon. Looks like a grass type, but it's a rock type, which is true. Remember the whole episode from the anime? So that's the definition in Subarashi's mind of what his perfect team would be. Next up, though, is Spiaggia. So Spiaggia says basically like this: if you factor in all the special and physical moves were based on the typings and also factor in the limited movesets of Pokemon in the original Gen 2, then this is a good team for Gold and Silver according to Spiaggia. Typhlosion is the first one, which seems like a lot of people have gone for. So Typhlosion, then Tyranitar, Alakazam, which is the best Pokemon in Gen 1 and 2 outside of Legendaries, which is a fair point. Alakazam is insanely strong. Then Dragonite, Lapras, and then finishing it off with Ampharos. So this to me does seem like a very close to what I would call one of the perfect teams or the best possible teams you could have for specifically Gold and Silver. So it's a pretty solid one. Let's go to the next one though. Next is a list from Infinite Dragon 18. Here's his team. So for alligators, so the first time we're getting a bit of water starter in there. So second is Crobat, which again, that is a pretty useful Pokemon. Heracross is also included, which is great. Heracross is actually a really kind of like, I would say, underrated Pokemon, to be honest. Then number 4 is Arcanine, which makes sense as he doesn't have Typhlosion, a little bit of fire is needed. Then number 5 is Ampharos, and finishing it off with one of my personal favorites, Nidoking, which is a glorious Pokemon. Next is a submission by TSC, who says, number 1, Typhlosion, best starter and good physical attacker and good for the first couple of gyms, which is true. Then you have 2, Heracross, good typing, which is interesting as well. I agree with that. It's got the bug fighting. Number 3, Ampharos, general all-arounder and fan favorite. I agree. Dragonite or Crobat. These are interchangeable, which is fair enough, though I would say that Crobat would be, I guess, somewhat harder to evolve, whereas Dragonite's just like get to a certain level and get it, whereas Crobat, well, it might be a little bit more difficult, but it is what it is. Number 5, though, is Furret, good HM Pokemon with decent stats. And then number 6, Quagsire, almost about to say Quagmire, but either way, the only good water type I can think of besides Shiny Gyarados and Feraligatr, which, okay, that is actually pretty fair. That is pretty fair, to be honest. Then the next one is from Poke Ninja, who says, number 1, Feraligatr, number 2, Vileplume, number 3, Pharaoh, interestingly, number 4, Ampharos, which a fan favorite, of course, number 5, Arcanine, and number 6, Steelix. And so we have the final fan submission, which is from Flufo, who says Typhlosion, first Pokemon Cyndaquil, favorite Johto starter, and 4th favorite Pokemon Quilava. Quagsire next up though, love how derpy it is, one of my favorite Pokemon, good type. Ampharos, one of my favorite Pokemon, good electric, fair enough. And then Crobat, very fast and very good. Flying type helps with ground and fighting, really cool Pokemon. Heracross, cool typing, really like the Pokemon, really good physical attacker. And finally, Umbreon, which is, Flufo's favorite evolution and one of our favorite Pokemon, and good for bulk and stall. So there you go. Those are the fan submissions. Those are what you guys think are the perfect teams for Pokemon Gold and Silver. Next, though, is my definition of what the perfect team is. So let's take a look at what I think is the perfect team for Pokemon Gold and Silver. So for me, first up would have to be the starter Pokemon. And when it comes to Gold and Silver, there's only one starter Pokemon I would go for, and that has to be Cyndaquil. I mean, it turns into the perfect fire type once it gets evolved into Typhlosion. And early on in Gold and Silver, you will have it like really useful with. It's got a lot of different things where it'll be useful in the early on stages, especially against stuff like Bugsy and her bug type Pokemon. And in this case, having Cyndaquil over the other two starters comes in really handy, as well as some other gyms like Jasmine Steel type gym eventually, and some other stuff. Like, generally speaking, Cyndaquil and Typhlosion is something you want to have, as it is a super strong fire type. It is interchangeable with something else if you want to, like if you want to go for an Arcanine instead, but I would say Typhlosion is the pick for me in my mind. Next Pokemon to add onto the team has to be either Heracross or Scizor. Now, I was thinking of adding Scizor like specifically instead, but seriously, looking at what Heracross offers, like back in Gold and Silver, I see a truly amazing Pokemon with far more benefits, especially having something like Megahorn at level 54, whereas looking at Gen 2 Scizor, you notice a strange lack of any useful bug type moves besides like Fury Cutter, but like it kind of lacks actual move sets and moves within specifically Gold and Silver. So that's why I think Heracross would be my second choice here, because it's just such a strong Pokemon. It's got the bug and fighting typing, basically allowing it to kind of like play against a lot of different things. So yeah, I would definitely say Heracross would be the choice here. Then we have one of my personal favorites, but also across the board like a great Pokemon, and that of course is Ampharos, as a lot of you guys also included on your lists. Ampharos in my mind is just like straight up insane. Ampharos is like a strong Pokemon. I mean, it has like to be probably one of the strongest like electric types within Gold and Silver, if we don't count like legendaries and stuff, but it has to be one of the strongest. And if you look at its movesets and stuff, it's got loads of great electric type moves that it can use. Generally speaking, this is just a all-around strong Pokemon, and it'll come really handy in whenever you're up against like any sort of like water types, etc. Like, it's just a great Pokemon. Alakazam, so yeah, hands down, has to be here. I mean, Alakazam is insanely powerful. There are very few Pokemon can actually challenge it when you look at what it brings to the table. Unfortunately, there aren't many Gen 2 alternatives for like, Alakazam that they can compete against, or that we can say is stronger than it and whatnot. Like, it just has like a lack of weaknesses, if I'm gonna be honest with you. It just lacks anything that could really push it down that hard. Sure, there are a few things out there, definitely, but it's just an all-around great Pokemon that you would want to have on your team just in general because of its general strength. Then we have a little bit of a complication. So we have Gyarados, and specifically, why not go for Shiny Gyarados, since it's so special within these games. So there is a reason I would choose Gyarados here over other water starters, and that being the fact that it's able to use the move Bite, which is like a dark type move, which could make up for the lack of other dark types on the team, and then you would just have that move, right? But I will say you could also go for Lapras as the water option instead, since it does have the ice typing and the ice type moves on it, which can come in really handy. So yeah, it's gonna be between those two, I would say. But either way, like, I'm gonna put them right there, and then we're gonna go to the next Pokemon, because the next Pokemon is gonna kind of explain the choices we made on the water Pokemon here. So let's take a look at the next Pokemon. And finally, I had a hard time choosing between basically Nidoking and Tyranitar as the final Pokemon, and it really depends on what comes in more handy. See, Nidoking offers a lot more areas to be covered in your team, as it can use so many different types of moves, while Tyranitar offers you a perfect dark type Pokemon, which can be super strong, but I guess it all depends on how you choose the previous Pokemon, that being Gyarados and Lapras, right? So I would do it like this. If Gyarados is chosen, then Nidoking as the final Pokemon, but if Lapras is chosen, then Tyranitar is the choice for the final Pokemon. So, for the sake of showing you my choice, I will have to deny the glory for my friend Nidoking and Gyarados, and give the spot to Lapras with the water typing and the ice typing, and Tyranitar with its rock and dark typing, as having those bases covered in the team is a massive importance, and actually would say is definitely the perfect way to do it. So that would be my definition of the perfect team. This is, right here on the screen, my definition of the perfect team for Pokemon Gold and Silver. At the end of the day, guys, this is all just for fun, keep that in mind. But yeah, that is the perfect team for Gold and Silver, at least my definition of it, right? And if you guys enjoyed it, then leave a like, and let's get to 1,000 likes for part 2, where we'll take a look at Pokemon Red and Blue, and your, perfect teams from that. And if you want your team to be featured, then comment down below with a team of 6 Pokemon for Red and Blue that you think are the perfect team. Keep in mind to only use Generation 1 Pokemon in that, since there weren't any like Greninjas and stuff in Generation 1 and Red and Blue. So keep that in mind, leave a comment down below, and thank you so much for watching. That is all for today. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.